Welcome back to the deep dive. If you feel like the entire global financial system is moving and shaking and just running faster than you can keep track of,
You're not wrong.
you are definitely not wrong. Today, we're on an essential mission. We are unpacking this radical convergence of decentralized infrastructure and autonomous AI.
That's right. This deep dive is all about the fundamental transformation that's happening, literally right now.
So we need to understand the new architecture, right? The
E-
programmable money.
Exactly. And we have to analyze the impact of this landmark U.S. regulation, the Genius Act.
And the risks, the new systemic risks that pop up when you replace human clicks with machine speed.
Right. We're moving from just digital ledgers to something like agent-driven finance, and the rules haven't caught up.
Okay, let's unpack that. But maybe first, a little historical context is needed.
Always.
Because financial systems are really just here to solve this one huge, persistent problem. Your sources call it trust friction.
Exactly. I mean, financial evolution has always been about lowering that friction, the delays, the costs, the risk involved in any exchange.
So think back to, what, 15th century Florence?
Yeah, exactly. Double-entry bookkeeping was a revolution back then.
Because it let you audit things, right?
Yeah.
It reduced the friction of someone, cooking the book.
Precisely. Now fast forward 500 years.
We digitized everything in the 70s. We moved ledgers from paper to silicon, but that wasn't a real transformation, was it?
Not at all. It was just digitization. We just repackaged the friction. We ended up with this maze of siloed systems, banks, clearinghouses.
That was their own version of the truth.
Right. And even though computers got faster, settlement was still slow. We were stuck in this T+2 cycle.
So your data moves in a millisecond, but the actual legal finality of the transaction takes days.
Days. And that is where the conceptual rupture happens.
Bitcoin, 2009.
It reallocated trust away from institutions and put it into cryptography.
And that spark led to what you're calling the programmable inflection point.
Yeah. You get smart contracts, programmable tokens.
Mm.
The infrastructure isn't just digital anymore. It's natively programmable. You can code the logic right in.
And what's forcing that inflection point now isn't just the ledgers, it's the collision with AI.
The acceleration is just astounding.
I saw a Gartner projection, I think. By 2026, something like 40% of enterprise apps will have AI agents baked in.
Up from less than 5% in 2025.
Yeah.
The velocity is incredible.
And that creates a whole new paradigm. What is it? Agentic commerce?
Yes. We are talking about AI systems that have a financial mandate and the autonomy to just go execute it.
So they're not just advising a human trader.
No. They initiate, they negotiate, they execute transactions across different chains, different protocols, all without a human in the loop continuously.
It's a shift from, a person hitting a button to this constant 247 machine coordination.
And that creates this massive challenge for, say, the G7 economies.
Yeah.
They need this for competitiveness, for capital efficiency.
But the speed introduces this incredible fragility, this algorithmic contagion we hear about.
That's the core tension.
Okay, let's talk about the plumbing for a second. Because for years, the big knock on public blockchains was, they're too slow, too expensive for real volume. Is that still true?
Not anymore. The
No.
infrastructure maturity it's profound.
Hmm.
That old bottleneck has been largely solved by layer 2 scaling solutions.
The express lanes.
It's a perfect analogy. They bundle up thousands of transactions off the main chain, verify them cheaply, and then just settle the final proof back on the main ledger.
Give me some of the hard data on that. What are the numbers looking like?
The metrics are really compelling. By late 2025, layer 2 costs dropped below 1 cent per transaction.
Below a penny.
Yeah, and throughput was already passing 5,600 transactions per second. Projections for some of the new rollups are hitting 15,000 TPS by mid-2026.
That is huge. I mean, the cost to execute a complex financial transaction is now cheaper than sending a postcard. That changes the economics of everything.
It does. It makes real-time settlement and micropayments actually viable on public rails for the first time.
Yeah.
They're competitive with the big payment networks now.
And all this maturity leads to institutionalization. Regulated firms are coming in, bringing compliance, KYC, AML.
All the things you'd expect from a normal fintech company.
Which brings us to the persistent shadow, illicit finance.
Right. And while the percentage is low, a 4-year low of just 0.14% of all activity in 2024, the absolute dollar amounts are still going up.
But the method has changed, right? It's not just about Bitcoin anymore.
That's the critical shift. Stablecoins. They surged from 15% to 63% of illicit volume.
Why?
It's not about hiding. It's about efficiency. Criminals want fiat parity, speed, and liquidity. They want to move value across borders fast without the volatility risk of Bitcoin.
And we're seeing state actors get in on this too.
Oh, absolutely. North Korean groups stole something like over $2 billion in crypto in 2025 alone. That's a 51% jump year over year. It's a very efficient way to evade sanctions.
It just shows the rails are efficient for everyone. And those rails, specifically stablecoins, are what finally pushed the U.S. government to act.
With the Genius Act.
The Guiding and Establishing National Innovation for U.S. Stablecoins Act. That's a mouthful.
It is. Signed July 18, 2025, takes effect in January 2027. And it is, without a doubt, the most comprehensive digital asset law in American history.
Passed with huge bipartisan support, too.
Yeah.
68-30 in the Senate.
Which tells you something.
So what created that urgency? Why now?
The market just got too big to ignore. Stablecoin volumes surpassed Visa and MasterCard combined in 2024. The scale was just undeniable. And when you have AI agents operating on these 5-minute time horizons, your old banking rails, ACH and Fedwire, they're not built for that world.
They're structurally inadequate, so the government had to regulate the money the machines were already using?
They had no choice.
So what are the key guardrails in the Act? How does it create stability?
3 critical things. First, one-to-one reserve backing. Every stablecoin has to be fully backed by high-quality liquid assets, so U.S. dollars or short-term treasuries, and they have to disclose it publicly every month.
Okay, that makes sense. What's number 2?
The compliance mandate. Issuers are now subject to the Bank Secrecy Act, and this is the really critical part. They have to have the technical ability to freeze, seize, or burn stablecoins if a court orders it.
Wait, burn them so they can just destroy the asset based on a legal order?
Instantly, via code. It moves legal enforcement from a courtroom to the code layer itself.
That is a massive transfer of power. I'm not sure people fully grasp that.
It's an assertion of sovereign jurisdiction in the digital world. If you want to issue a trusted dollar-backed digital currency, you have to be controllable by the state.
And the third requirement?
Consumer protection. If an issuer goes bankrupt, stablecoin holders get paid back first, before any other creditors.
So you're protected. It builds confidence.
It does. And strategically, the act is brilliant. It basically extends U.S. dollar hegemony into this new programmable space by forcing issuers to buy U.S. treasuries.
Creating this permanent global demand for U.S. debt.
Exactly.
But for every strategic opportunity, there's a risk. And the big one here, for bankers at least, is deposit flight.
It's a huge, unresolved risk. As money moves out of traditional bank accounts and into these stablecoin ecosystems,
the banking system's deposit base erodes.
Right. And banks rely on those cheap, stable deposits to fund their lending. If those deposits get siphoned off into high-yield, liquid stablecoin pools, it raises all these questions about bank profitability, liquidity in a crisis.
Yeah.
Even how monetary policy works.
So the Fed now has to regulate stablecoins not just as a payment system, but as a potential competitor to the entire banking model.
Precisely. The Genius Act legitimized stablecoins, but it also legitimized the threat they pose to the incumbent system.
Okay, let's shift focus because there is a widening policy gap here. Stablecoins get all the headlines.
Because they challenge the state's monopoly on money.
But there are all these other tokenized instruments growing just as fast, with way less oversight.
We're seeing explosive growth in real-world asset tokenization, RWA, putting traditional assets on chain. That market hit about $33 billion by late 2025.
And the biggest category is private credit, right?
By far, over 18, almost 19 billion. It's just capital efficiency at scale.
And then you've got these tokenized money market funds, MMFs. They act just like stablecoins. They look like stablecoins.
But legally, they're regulated as securities.
Which is the paradox.
It is.
Yeah.
You have intense oversight on payment stablecoins, but a much lighter touch on these instruments that are, functionally almost identical. It's a misalignment.
But the area with the highest risk and maybe the least regulation is what you call AI-operated crypto assets. Now, why is the autonomy here the key difference? Aren't these just like quant funds?
That's a great question. The autonomy is everything. A traditional quant fund has human fiduciary oversight. It has circuit breakers designed for human speed markets. These AI-operated systems, they rebalance portfolios, allocate liquidity, execute incredibly complex strategies across chains, all without continuous human intervention. The decision-making is fully delegated to the algorithm.
So who's accountable? If an algorithm blows up and loses billions, who's responsible when the human was barely in the loop?
Exactly. The human is gone, or at least minimized.
Huh.
It strains all our old concepts of fiduciary duty. These things are operating in a conceptual blind spot.
So we have this policy misalignment. All the political focus is on stablecoins, while these autonomous systems are managing billions with potentially greater systemic risk.
Which brings us directly to the biggest oversight of all, algorithmic contagion.
The new systemic risk, it's not about leverage anymore or bad credit.
No, the defining threat now is instability that emerges from machine intelligence, operating at a scale and speed we've just never seen before.
So break down the mechanics for us. How does all this efficiency actually breed instability?
Okay, there are three main factors. First is the homogenization of logic.
Meaning they all start to think alike.
Pretty much. AI agents are all trained on similar data. They're all optimized for similar goals, like maximizing yield. They're all reading from the same playbook.
So when a crisis hits, they all try to execute the same escape plan at the exact same time.
Correct. You get these massive correlated unwinds that just amplify volatility. It's like tacit collusion, but without any illegal coordination. The instability comes directly from the efficiency.
Okay, second factor.
The sheer velocity of liquidation. Remember the flash crash in 2010? $1 trillion vanished in minutes.
I do.
In these tokenized markets with layer 2s doing thousands of transactions per second, you compress that timeline from minutes down to milliseconds.
There are no circuit breakers built for that speed.
There's no time for a human to step in.
Yeah.
The machines don't stop for nights or weekends. They just execute. 247.
And the final piece is cross-chain cascades.
Right. These systems are all deeply, permissionlessly interconnected. So a failure in one protocol, say an Oracle fails, or a big player defaults.
It propagates instantly everywhere else.
Instantly. Through pre-programmed smart contract logic. One failure triggers an automated cascade of liquidations across the entire system. It accelerates the failure.
It's clear that regulators know their old tools won't work here. The FCA, the European Commission, they've acknowledged this, but the responses seem fragmented.
They are?
So looking forward, what are the proactive solutions? What do the G7 authorities need to do to future-proof the system?
We have to move beyond legacy thinking. We need interventions for the machine age. There are 4 things they need to do, and fast.
Okay, number 1.
AI-aware circuit breakers. They have to operate at machine timescales milliseconds. This means things like latency floors, dynamic throttling that automatically slows trading down when volatility spikes.
Number 2 would be tackling that thinking alike problem, model diversity requirement.
Exactly. To reduce what we call cognitive concentration risk, regulators have to mandate heterogeneity.
So different training data, different model architectures.
Different strategies. The goal is to make sure not all the algorithms rush for the same exit at the same millisecond.
Makes sense. Number 3.
Real-time surveillance. We have to invest in predictive monitoring. We need to move from looking at what happened yesterday to tracking what's happening right now.
So regulators need tools that can see these AI agent clusters forming, track asset flows across chains.
Before the crisis hits, not after.
And number 4, which gets at that accountability problem, explainability and auditability.
Accountability is everything. Regulators must require verifiable audit trails and clear, explainable reasons for any material trading decision an AI makes. This isn't just a nice-to-have, it's a prerequisite for public trust.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? The Genius Act has brought clarity for stablecoins, and that's accelerating adoption. But the core risk has shifted. It's not about what the assets are anymore. It's about how these autonomous intelligence systems interact with them at impossible speeds.
AI agents are becoming co-pilots. They're augmenting human judgment, but their growing autonomy demands immediate governance. And that leaves the G7 with a critical choice. They can be proactive and try to guard against this algorithmic contagion, which requires massive international coordination and technical sophistication. Or they can let regulation lag behind and wait for the first major AI-induced financial crisis to force them into a painful rushed reform under duress. Which path do you think global policymakers are currently traveling?